Hello, lovely dolls. Today will be a little more special, and I apologize beforehand for the reflection in my glasses. Still gotta see, don't I? So today, one of our members of the Bookish Bats has turned 23. And I thought, why not do something special for her today? So I asked her who her favorite author was, and that turned out to be Cassandra Clare. Now, I picked one book, and it's called The Rise of the Hotel Dumort. I will be reading a little piece of that, and I will end up with a little tiny piece of poem by Amanda Lovelace, her favorite poet. So, about Rise of the Hotel Dumort. I haven't read it myself yet, but from what I've seen till now, I am definitely going to. Now here's the storyline. In the 1920s Manhattan, Magnus Bane hobnobs with the elite in a glamorous jazz age hotspot. The immortal Magnus Bane is making the most of his time in the roaring 20s. He settled into New York society and is thriving among the fashionable jazz set. There's nowhere better to see and be seen than the glamorous Hotel Dumort, a glittering new addition to the Manhattan landscape. But a different type of glamour may be at play. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Well, let's get more into it and we'll read a little. Late September 1929. Magnus spotted the little vampire right away. She was winding her way through the crowd, pausing for a moment for a quick shimmy by the band. She had perfectly bobbed hair, shiny black with a straight bang, just like Liz Brooks. She wore an electric blue dress with a delicate, dripping beadwork that skimmed her knees. In most ways, she looked exactly like a normal customer at Magnus' speakeasy, and she easily blended in with the 3 or 4 dozen people who packed onto his small dance floor. But there was something separate about her, something dreamy and strange. The music was fast, but she danced at a sultry middle space. Her skin was stark white, but not the dusty white from the cosmetic powder. And as she did her lonely little snake dance right in front of the saxophone player, she turned herself and made direct eye contact with Magnus. When she did so, 2 little half-fangs appeared against a bright red lip. Realizing they were out, she giggled and clapped her hand to her mouth. A moment later, they had retracted. Meanwhile, Elfie, who was by now clinging to the bar for support, forged on with his story. "I told him! Magnus, you listening?" "Of course, Elfie," Magnus said. Elfie was a very handsome and entertaining regular with excellent taste in suits and a love of strong cocktails. He told very good stories and smiled very good smiles. He was a banker or something. Stockbroker, maybe. Everyone had something to do with money these days. I told him, "You can't take a boat up to your hotel room." And he said, "Course I can, I'm a captain." I said to him, "One moment, Elfie. Something I need to attend to." "I was just getting to the best part." "Just one moment," Magnus said again, patting his friend's arm. "I'll be right back." Alfie followed the track of Magnus's gaze and arrived at the girl. "Now that's a tasty tomato," he said, nodding. "But I didn't think that was your taste." "My tastes are universal," Magnus replied with a smile. "Well, get a wiggle on. She won't be here all night. I'll watch the bar for you." Alfie slapped the bar. "You can trust me." Magnus nodded to Max. his excellent bartender, and Max immediately another south side for Alfie. To keep your whistle wet while I'm gone. Very kind, Alfie said, nodding. Your nag dry. Magnus called his bar Mr. Dry's. America was technically all dry, alcohol being illegal everywhere. But the truth was, most places were wet, awash with the stuff. New York especially. Everyone in New York drank. And the fact that they now did so illegally only made it better. The speakeasy, as far as Magnus was concerned, was one of mankind's greatest achievements. Intimate, celebratory, illegal, without being immoral. A prison of danger without a real peril. Mr. Dry was not a large place. Speakeasies rarely were. By nature, they were secret. His was concealed behind the facade of a wig store on West 25th Street. To get in, you needed to say the password to his very efficient doorman, who viewed the prospective guest through a small slip panel and reinforced door in the back of the wall in the shop. Once inside, you squeezed through a narrow hallway and entered Magnus' proud domain. 10 tables and a marble bar, important from Paris, backed by a mahogany display of every elusive bottle of things exotic Magnus had been able to get his hands on. Most of the space went to his stage and dance floor. It pulsated under the pounding of dancing feet. In the morning, it would be cleaned and waxed, and the scuff marks of the 1,000 blows of dance shoes would be wiped away. He gently slipped through the dancers, most so intense and inebriated, they were unaware he was even there. He enjoyed the soft, and occasionally not so soft, pummeling of flying limbs and kicking heels. He enjoyed feeling the body heat and being carried away by the movement and the surge of the dancers as they moved or less became one solid. Well, the little vampire was young, no more than maybe 16. She only came up to Magnus's chest's height. He leaned down and spoke into her ear. Perhaps I can buy you a drink, he said. A private one? In the back? The tips of the fangs popped out again when she smiles. Magnus already felt somewhat reassured. The half-fang smile probably wasn't from hunger. Drunkenness could cause fangs to poke out a bit. But vampires, like mundanes, often sought after salty foods and amorous encountered when inebriated. This way, he said, pushing back a curtain and revealing a short hallway leading to a single door. Right behind the main club, Magnus had constructed a small and intensely private room with a sink bar. The room was lined in large stained glass panels, illuminated from behind with electric lights, portraying Dionysus, the Greek god of wine. This was where he kept the very best and the very worst of his stock, and this was where he conducted his most private business. I don't believe we met before, he said, and she plopped happily onto his stool bar and spun around. Oh, I know who you are. You're Magnus Payne. She had one of those New York accents that Magnus was still getting used to, even though he had been here for several months. It was braggy and big, like a blinking neon sign. Her kid leather dancing shoes and scuffed toes. There was a mud stain halfway up the base of the heel, plus flecks of other substances that Magnus didn't even want to know about. These were shoes for dancing, and shoes for hunting. And what may I call you? Call me Dolly, she said. Magnus pulled a bottle of cold champagne out of a large tub of ice that contained at least 60 identical bottles. I don't like this place. It's got glass. I'm glad you think so. Lots of places are classy, Dolly said, reaching into a jar at the bar, helping herself to some maraschino cherries, plucking them up with her long, and probably dirty, fingernails. But they're fake classy, you know. This seems real classy. You got good wine. I like that stuff. She indicated the cut-rate champagne Magnus was holding and pouring into a glass for her. The bottle, like the others in the tub, was certainly nice, but they'd all been filled with fizz-up, cheap wine and cunningly recorked. Vampires could drink quite a lot and could be expensive to have around, and he felt certain she would not be able to tell the difference. He was right. She drained half the glass in the first sip and held it out for a top-up. Well, Dolly, Magnus sat, refilling her glass. I certainly don't care what you get up to on the street or anywhere else, but I do like my clientele. I consider it a matter of good service to make sure vampires don't eat them under my roof. I didn't come here to eat, she said. We can go down to Bowery for that. I was told to come down here and ask about you. The shoes did bear out the Bowery story. Those downtown streets could be filthy. Huh? And who is so kind as to inquire about little me? Nobody, the girl said. Nobody, Magnus said, is one of my favorite names. Now, I must say, this little introduction into this book, very interesting, and I do want to know more. Comment down below if you want to know more as well. Now, dear Alex, dear Witching, I wish you the best birthday of all time. And I wish you a great day. And the poem I searched for has only 2 lines, but very fitting. Once upon a time, the princess rose from the ashes her dragon lovers made her, and crowned herself the mother queen she is herself. Because you are a queen. Now, dolls, enjoy the night.